Today we are going to continue from lesson 6 of Machine Learning 101 lecture series, and today we are going to be talking about polynomial curve fittings. The name seems challenging, but I would like to make it clear that this is going to also flow smoothly just like other classes. Polynomial curve fittings, it follows from the previous lecture, that is lesson 5, where we discussed equation of a linear regression line. So basically we are talking about data sets and we are trying to determine the relationship between the dependent and the independent variable. We don't know this relationship, we are just given data set, and if you're a machine learning expert or a data scientist, you'll always be given data sets. And what do? You'll need to try to make sense out of that data. And the first thing you can do, or one way you can make sense out of this data is to find a function that relates one part of this data to the other part of this data. In that way, you'll be able to use this function to make predictions when necessary. If you are joining this class for the first time, then I'll recommend you go to take the previous classes. Also remember to subscribe so that you have updates when I make new lessons. So let's now discuss polynomial curve fittings. In the previous class, we mentioned that if you have a dependent and independent variable, you can assume that there is a generic function that relates these two variables. So in this class, we are actually going to be writing, and just like I told you, using a note and a pen. Okay, so we have two data sets, and I highlighted here x is equal to x1 to xn transpose. The reason is because this data is a column data, and also we have t, which actually in this case may be y, x and y, but in this case I call it t. In machine learning we have this data set and we have the target. So the target, which corresponds to the dependent variable, is given as t1, t2 to tn for n is equal to 6. So basically it's just the data set we are representing it in a mathematical form. And I also want to remind you that machine learning is divided into three parts: supervised learning, unsupervised learning, supervised learning 1, unsupervised learning 2, and reinforcement learning. We are still under supervised learning and we are still under regression. And in case of regression, we are having two data sets where the target variable or the target data set is continuous, it's not discrete. So you can have 1.1, 1.2, or a wide range of data that is unlimited. Alright, so we are saying that the equation that relates the x and y is giving us y is equal to mx plus c. And we have to do the work of finding m and c. This can be written as I told you before now, y is equal to beta 0 plus beta 1 x. This is b, this is beta, not b. So we say this beta 1 is the regression coefficient, right? And this is the intercept. Or in case of polynomial curve fittings, all of this is called the coefficient. In this case, it's exactly the same as, let me just write in this, okay, let me write here. It's the same as beta 0 x 0 plus beta 1 x 1, right? So basically we have the same coefficient for x is equal to x to the power of 0. So we are talking about the same thing. So y is equal to mx plus c, y is equal to beta 0 plus beta 1 x equal to beta 0 x 0 plus beta 1 x 1. Now, if we calculate beta 0 and beta 1, everything is solved. We have this equation and we are good to go. But now, when we have a data set, we cannot always assume that there's a linear relationship between them, because we are performing linear regression because we are assuming there's a linear relationship between them. What if there is a quadratic relationship between them? What if it's trig relationship? Maybe y is equal to sine 2x plus 4, or y is equal to 2 pi x. What if y is equal to x cubed plus x squared plus 3x plus 1? So there's a wide range of things you can do. Or for instance, y is equal to log x plus 2. So the relationship can be anything. It's not something that is always linear. So that makes the work a bit difficult for us, because how then do we determine what kind of relationship it is? Now, by the power of machine learning and by the power of theoretical algebra, we can relate this equation or these two data sets, using one generic function, and that will be a polynomial function. If we use a polynomial function, then we are sure that when we set the polynomial to power of 1, that is when it's only x to the power of 1, then we have a linear relationship. So if we use a polynomial relationship instead of a linear relationship we have here, then it means that we can cover a wider range of functions that relate the two data sets. And now I'm going to write the new relationship, or the new generic relationship that we are going to use. So that relationship goes like this: y of x and w equals w0 plus w1x w1x plus w2x squared plus, this is not minus, so let's not make any mistake about it. So plus, let me take a writing pen, plus w, this time we have m x to the power of m. Alright, so this is the new equation that we are going to be using. Now it looks a bit tough, but this is actually very easy. It's about the same thing we have before now. And now if you look at it in the procedure page, you can see that this equation is the same as, let's scroll up a bit, let me write it out. So if you use the notation of the sigma notation for summing up all the elements, we have, this will give us equal to, we are summing up for j is equal to 0 to m wj x to the power of j. So in this case, j is moving from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 to m. X is also moving from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 to m. So basically, this is how it works. So this is the equation we are going to use. This equation, I can assure you, cover a wide range of functions that can relate your dependent and independent variables. But the question now is, how do we find w? What is w? How do we determine m? Before I continue, I'd like to tell you that w remains the coefficient. We are not using beta, we use w, but you can also use beta in this place. So we have beta 0 plus beta 1x. In this case, we have w0 plus w1x plus w2x squared all the way up to wmxm. So this case, I'm changing the notation from beta to w. So it's the same thing. This is just the coefficient of regression. But this time we are not talking about linear regression. We are talking about polynomial regression. Alright. Now, when we have w0, w1, w2 all the way to wm, we now have that the coefficient of regression is also now a vector, right? So it have a range of items, because remember that we are representing set of data using vectors in this way, as you can see here, right? So in this case, since we have several coefficients, we can also represent it as a vector. So the notation that we have on the page that have a bold letter W shows that W is a vector. Now, is x a vector? No, x is not a vector. X is simply the variable in the equation. So x is not a vector, it's just one single value. And the same thing goes for y. So if we have y and we have x and we have the vector w, meaning all the regression coefficients, then we also have m. M is something we'll talk about a little later. Then we can actually write down this equation. So the two questions we want to ask ourselves now is, what is w and how do we choose m? Where m is the order of the polynomial. Do we stop at m is equal to 3, m is equal to 2, m is equal to 4, m is equal to 6, and so on? First, let's answer the question, what is w? I'd like to read directly from my website. W is simply the polynomial coefficients. So W0, W1 to Wm are denoted by the vector W. So all the regression coefficient now becomes one single vector W, whereas W is made up of series of items, all the regression coefficients starting from W0 all the way to Wm. So the problem reduces to simply determining the polynomial coefficient. That is just what we need, the polynomial coefficient. So we don't need to find the intercept at this time. So we simply need coefficient. If we have the coefficient, we simply choose the value of m. We can choose m to be 2. If we choose m to be 1, it becomes linear. So think of when m is 1, we have, let me shift a little upwards. So think of when m is 1, let me just write it. If m is equal to 1, so we have y of x and w is equal to w1, because we are saying m is 1, right? So w0 plus w1 x1, right? So this is the same as w0 plus w1 x. So this is the same as the equation of linear regression that we already know, right? That is when we choose m to be 1. We have linear regression, and that is clear. Alright. Now, to determine w, there are a number of things that has to be done. I'll not give all the details in this place at this point, but I'm going to tell you the theory of it. So just know the theory of it. And in subsequent classes, we are going to shed more light on it, because I want you to understand exactly what polynomial regression is doing as it relates to linear regression. We determine W by fitting the polynomial to the training set. Fitting the polynomial to the training set simply means passing a line through the training set. We plot the set of data and try to pass a line through it. This time, it's not a linear regression line, but a polynomial line or a polynomial curve. These are achieved by minimizing the error function that measures the difference between the function y x w for any given value w that corresponding to the point in the training data set. To perform minimization, we need the error function, and a good choice is to use the sum of squared errors between the predicted value for each training data point and the corresponding target value Tn. Okay, let's simply explain this, because I wanted to spend little time, but now let me just explain it. So let's say you have the data sets. Let's assume we have the data sets, and we are plotting the data sets in an axis like this. So we have the data sets, and this point we have one, we have data here, we have here, we have here. So this is a plot. Assuming you plot the data you are given, and you have something like this. Now, if we fit a polynomial line through these data points, let me use a red pen, and we fit that line in this way. Okay, so what we are now going to do is to calculate the difference between the line and the actual data point. So and that will be the error. So what we are saying in effect is, let me take another color of pen. Between this point and this point, we have an error. Between this and this place, we have an error, because it's supposed to actually pass through the point, but it's passing through a different place. So it means that there is some error in. So we have an error. So all these errors is the same as y and w minus cn. Anyway, let me not complicate the matter. Now, let's say this is our data set, and we have x and we have t. We have x1, we have x2, we have x3, we have t1, we have t2, we have t3, all the way to xn. This one goes all the way to tn, right? So actually, this point here is supposed to be x1, t1, right? So, but we calculated y X and W. So it means that there is a difference between the actual value Tn and the value we calculated. So we'll come to that a little later. And that difference, if you put them together, gives us the total error, which is given by this error function. So it means if we're able to minimize this error to the barest minimum, it means that we'll have a very good line. So it means that if we reduce this error, it means that the more we reduce the error, the more the lines are tending to be close to the data points, meaning that the distance between the polynomial regression line and the data point is reduced. So to determine W, we simply find the error between the actual point and the regression polynomial regression line or the curve, and then we reduce this error. So let's not go too far with that. The next question now is, how do we choose the value of m? M is the order of the polynomial. So I mentioned m can range from 0. M is 0, it simply means y is equal to beta 0 because we don't have x. If m is equal to 1, y is equal to beta 0 plus beta 1 x 1, which is beta 1 x, which is linear regression. So how then do we choose the value of m? To choose the value of m will lead us to another concept called the bias variance trade-off, or let's say the overfitting and underfitting problem. You choose m to be too low, you have a problem of underfitting. You choose m to be too high, you have a problem of overfitting. What is the meaning of all of this? And this we are going to discuss in the next class, and the next class will be that should be lecture 7 in ML 101. So I'd like to thank you for viewing. Take some time to get this around your head, and we see you in the next class.